Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, aka the High Heel Gamer, and welcome to the Late Night Nerd Show. Today I have a very special guest. I'm super excited. I met this lovely lady at Baltimore Comic Con. Her art was phenomenal, and then I saw that she actually makes coloring books with black girls in it, and I was like, I need to order all of these for my nieces and myself because natural is beautiful. Please welcome Dominique from Artimation Studio. See, I told you I was gonna mess it up. Hi, Dominique. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. I am beyond excited. Like I said, I am gonna order these Christmas gifts because I think they would be
Yeah.
perfect for my nieces. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 17 years old. I've been selling my work online since about the start of COVID. So,
Oh wow.
around like 2021 is when I started selling my stuff online. But even since before then, I've been drawing since I was 9, and I was doing commissions like since then for like literally any kind of artwork, whether it was just people or people's pets. And I've always just loved drawing in digital art.
So what was it? Do you remember? I know 9 is such like a vague memory point in people's lives, but do you remember that moment that you were like, I want to try my hand at this? What was it that made you feel like I can totally do this?
I think this is gonna sound so silly, but like I was at home and I had just come back from like after school and I showed my mom like how I had been drawing pictures of Sonic, and it was a freehand drawing of Sonic, like all done by myself.
Oh wow.
And I was like, Mom, look, I drew Sonic. Like I can draw, I can draw. And my mom was like, That's nice, sweetie. But I think ever since I started doing that, and then like my mom kind of started realizing as well, like, oh, like, I can paint, I can do all this stuff. And I kind of just like took off from there and have been drawing like forever.
Wow. And what was the transition from Sonic to people? What was that?
Oh, honestly, I want to say like a lot of my inspiration definitely came from like the media. There's not a lot of like, Black women in media, at least around the time I was growing up. And I know that sounds like I'm like super old, but like even when I was growing up, there wasn't as many like representations of like little Black girls. I think like the closest thing I had was Bratz, and then also my own, like all of my own family members, like on my mom's side, all of her sisters, my grandma, like all of them, my aunts, they're all just so beautiful. And I think seeing them and having them kind of like teach me about having pride in my skin, my hair color, that's a lot of what has like kind of been conveyed onto like my artwork today.
I 100 like that gave me chills up and down my spine because I have she's not little anymore. She's a grown adult, but I have a daughter as well, and my sister has two little girls, and we've always, instilled in it doesn't matter, black is beautiful, natural hair
Right.
color. I didn't relax my daughter's hair until she decided she wanted to do it for prom when she was like 18.
Oh, yeah.
So once you did it on her own, what what having that representation within your own family, how did that make you like feel?
Definitely a lot more, I guess, powerful and I guess proud of myself, because I definitely didn't start off confident when I was younger. We grew up in a more predominantly like not black area, more predominantly like Caucasian. People with just like straight hair, like wavy hair. So like seeing somebody of my color and with my hair especially, or like specifically, I was usually picked on or bullied for that. And they would like tug at my hair. And for a while, I really hated it. And I would beg my mom to straighten it. And I didn't know what a relaxer was, because, this was like kindergarten,
Uh-huh.
preschool at that age. And it's super young, but it definitely was a key moment for me, because there were times where I really like I hated my curls and I really just wanted to like fit in with everybody. But with my family, there was a point I'm reminded about. I can't really remember as much, but there was a time where in order to show me that my own hair was like beautiful natural, all of my aunts went natural for me. and they
Oh my
all like had their
god.
hair out curly and they were showing me their hair and they
That's
would do
dope.
my hair.
That is so dope. I love that. And how did the idea for the coloring book, like that's the okay, so I loved your artwork, but I think I fell even more in love with the fact that it was like the coloring book. So how did that idea come about?
I think I was talking with my mom. My mom is like she's like my market person.
That's
She
cool.
helps me with like almost everything. My dad also like they're my biggest supporters and we were having like a we always have like our little like kitchen discussions and stuff and like as we're going about the house and my mom was kind of like, "Oh, well, you've done like a you've done children's book illustrations, so why don't you try making like a book for kids?" And I was like, it takes a long time. That I love writing on like as a pastime, but I was like, that takes so long and character design. But then my mom was like, okay, so it's easier if you just maybe like start smaller. So why not a coloring book? And she said, but your main point could be a coloring book with Black women, with Black girls. And I think that was probably where I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. I've got clean line art. I think I can do that.
Shout out to mom and dad. Like they were like you want to talk about cheerleaders at your table, like they were 100% cheerleaders at your table. Um I remember because I was with somebody else. We were kind of in a hurry because I had a meeting. She had to be back somewhere, and I was trying to guide her. And we both kind of like did this halt stop at your
Yeah.
table. And then your parents they stood up and they were like, no, it's all her. And you were like, yeah, it's me. And then you say you're 17, but your art, like, it's up there, it's phenomenal. It really is such great work. Do you practice every day or is it just like a kind of a pastime type of thing for you to perfect your art that way?
I guess I would say I can't say that I practice every day as much as it's like I do a lot of I do a lot of like my larger scale like drawings or like my finished drawings in very sporadic bursts of energy because I could have the energy to do like an entire study on anatomy and then like be gone for a month and drop off the face of the earth. But definitely, yeah, I think even now still like any practice I can get for like when I look at my friends especially I've been very into fashion lately,
Oh.
so in order to try and like get better at like clothing, how it folds, the dynamics behind that, I try my best to just like at least take a picture or remember it so that I can go back and kind of like add it to like my sketchbook and then like possibly like use it later like when I end up like making another character design or something.
Are you still in high school? You're still in high school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got your work stuff and then you've got school stuff on top of that. How do
Mhm.
you find that kind of work-life balance? Because I mean, this is your job, you know? So how do you find that balance?
I guess it's not as hard because this is my senior year. So last year I think was like my flattest, like slowest year because I was like just like, rushed with a whole lot of work. COVID just like was trying to go back into the normal. But this year for me, it has been a lot easier because I have free period classes and I can leave early. And even then, my digital art teacher, because I take a digital art, well, no, now I take an AP digital art class this year. And he has also been my biggest cheerleader.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's such a great guy. Like he's taught me a lot of my fundamentals really from the ground up. Like right now we're on like a blender lesson, at least like some of the underclassmen are, and you do like a toy project and you work in blender, work with 3D,
Oh,
you
wow.
3D print, you work on product design, packaging, all of that stuff I ended up kind of like learning from him if I wasn't like teaching myself, and anything else that I kind of needed to fine tune, he was always kind of like with me to help me and prep me for whatever else I would need later.
And that's so cool. I'm like really happy that you have such a great support system both in and out of the house because that's definitely important, especially for like this kind of industry, which can be kind of either slow or cutthroat. I don't know how many other
Yeah,
artists but it's
it's
either,
true.
a slow process and you build up, or it's like
Mhm.
people just want to tear you down because it's not traditional lines or traditional coloring
Mhm.
and things like that. Have you run into anything like that where people are just like, "Boo to you?"
I mean, I feel like I have, and I'm very much so like it goes over my
Good,
head.
good.
Just the other day, I posted something on Twitter, and it was like I posted a rendition of Sailor Moon, my Sailor Moon drawing, and it was a black girl, and she had like curly blonde hair because I did a poll, and everybody said draw Sailor Moon. So I drew Sailor Moon, posted it on Twitter. It got a very positive response, but I think like one person kind of was like leaning towards the more I couldn't tell if they were being sarcastic towards people who are like this or towards me because they were like, I fixed their art for you and oh wow, look, I fixed it. And I was like, I didn't fix anything. I was just asked to draw Sailor Moon.
Well, hopefully you keep it that way where you're just like, "You know what? Bye to you too."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So
There's no
'cause
point in sticking on it because honestly, it's like you read it once and then I don't know, I've got like the memory of a chicken salad. So I just I kind of just end up going like, all right, that was nice. Anyways.
I love that statement. Memory of a chicken salad. I'm gonna steal that from you if that's okay. I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna start using that.
Please
That's
do.
great. So you said you're starting to get into fashion. Is it the fashion design part of it or just the fashion sketching of it all or all of the above?
I wanna say I forget how my teacher did it because I took a fashion design class last year, and I am definitely stuck on the art aspect of it. So, more so the drawn out designs and maybe a little bit of, like, the physical when it comes to, like, picking and choosing materials, because that was something that I was taught to do, and I had never touched a sewing machine, and it was definitely a very weird and new experience, but it's always been something I've admired because I love clothing. I love the stories behind clothing. The piece that I did last year was a satin bonnet inspired piece, and I
Oh,
was the only well, no, I was the only black girl who was doing the fashion show that we had at the end of the year. And then like there was another black girl there, but she wasn't doing the fashion show. So it was really just me. And then I think out of everybody, mine was probably the brightest.
oh wow.
And
I
I
think
used like all satin fabrics. The goal was kind of to like thrift, and I tried to do my best to like thrift what I could for like the smaller pieces,
mm,
but it was like a two piece, so like a bright kind of like pink romper, satin romper, and then a detachable like train in the back that was like purple and blue, and it
oh
was very
wow.
big in the back. And when my model was walking, one of my closest friends, she's absolutely lovely. I had her wear an afro because I was like, I want this to be something to represent the crown that we all wear on our heads. My thing has always been about hair. Fashion to me is something that really brings out the best in black women when you're put in those beautiful bright colors. So I think that was like one of those moments where I was like, okay, I'll have fashion on the side.
That's awesome. So now that you're a senior and you're looking into colleges and stuff, or are you gonna take like the year sabbatical?
No, nah, I'm not a gap year person. That stresses me out.
This is like, well, so are you trying to major into like animation or art? Like, what are you trying to look into for the future?
I think mainly like illustration and possibly like product design
Oh,
or something like that, like UX design. I actually originally wanted to go into graphic design because I thought that was like the only art job that was like a solid, like, okay, solid for sure. I have something that'll
mm.
get me by that's creative. And then like I went to an open house and for one of the colleges, but, I went to the open house and he was like, "Yeah, so you're gonna take like 500 photos of wheels for your first year and make a collage." And I was like, "Oh no, I don't do photography. I don't do that. I don't do pictures."
No, thank you.
But yeah, illustration, my mom definitely she encouraged me a lot, like pushed me to do kind of more towards illustration because for especially for like books, I did the coloring book, I did a children's book a few years back, and I think it'd be a field that I would love like being in.
That does sound with the brightness and the vibrancy of your artwork, like I think that personally, from not knowing you that much, just from the booth and everything that I've seen on Instagram, I think that would be a pretty good route for you. Um,
Yeah, thank
so
you.
speaking of the booth as well, was that your first time doing a con at Baltimore Comic Con?
It was my second time. So my first one was Awesome Con back in June,
So
and
how are
that
you
was like
liking the con scene?
it was interesting. This one was very, very fun. I had so much fun at, like, of course, meeting you, and I forget the name of the woman you were with, but you both were so nice, and meeting all of the all of the other amazing like creatives and the artists. I think I was actually fortunate enough to be put next to more black artists, and
Mhm.
I was shocked because the last time around I was really I think only across from like one other black artist. I didn't really see as many. So this time around, I was like, oh my gosh, like
There's
people,
so
my
many
people.
Yeah, I always feel that way too. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when I see, so I part-time cosplay. Like I'm not a full-time cosplayer, part-time cosplay. But sometimes, like when I see like black cosplayers, when I first started, I was like, there's more of us. But now
Yeah,
it's like such a plethora, and you'll see that too, where it's like this opens the door to seeing other black artists and writers and creators that you didn't even know were like so out there.
right.
Who are you admiring right now in the art industry? Who are you looking up to?
That's a hard question.
Because there's so
I
many,
would
it's just like everyone.
like literally like every single one I can find, but I think she has been my forever like inspiration. Her name, at least her online name is GDB,
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure her full name is, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Geneva. But
Okay.
I think I have no idea if that's proper pronunciation, but she has always been like, ever since I was younger, I've been looking at her artwork, and she does all of the beautiful, like, of course, like digitally painted pieces, but like the black woman whose hair turns into waves, and it's plants and galaxies, and a space girl with an afro. Like, I
I think
find
I
all
know who
of
you're
that
talking about.
so, it's so pretty.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yes, I've seen because when you said the hair into waves, I was like, wait a second, I feel like I've seen that before. So I
Yeah.
think I know exactly what you're talking about. That's dope. Did you get a chance to leave your booth and actually interact with a couple of people since your parents were there to help out?
I did. I think around probably, I guess Sunday was like my day where I fully walked around. Saturday, I kind of walked around too, but Sunday, I got a chance to walk around, visit all of the people who visited my table, and then of course like get stuff from their tables as well. Because I always love, if I'm not like trading with somebody, especially my neighbors, because I'll give gifts to my nice neighbors and be like,
Aw,
oh, here's this freebie, and I got a chance to, oh, goodness, she was a comic artist, but a black owned comic artist. She was so so nice, and she was like closer to like the front of the con. But I got to like look at her book, buy some of her stickers, talk with her, and she was like, "Yeah, I was at your table, but your parents were there and you were gone." And I was like, "Yeah, for some reason, everybody cool comes like when I'm not at the
that
table."
that's you're not the only one that happens to. All my friends are always saying that. They're like, so and so was here and I wasn't and I missed out. And I'm like, I'm
Right.
sorry. So yeah. It happens to everyone at cons. They will
Mhm.
tell you that yes, it's like a magnet. You know, it's like when people
Right.
know they're like, oh, they're not at the table. Let me go visit them. How did you decide like what pieces you wanted on at your table? Because I know table size is like tough, you know what I mean? So you can't have everything on there. What were the deciding factors in the pieces that you brought?
I would say probably, well, one, because it was my second con, so I was using everything from then. But I think a lot of my pieces, they're not like old. Like some of them are still kind of new. So like when I say old, I mean like within the past like 2 years.
Okay.
That's the span of the art that I brought. And then I was trying to pick because I was like, which ones are my most like eye-catching diverse? Because like when you get to my table, I was already kind of put in an area with like darker color schemes, and my table was like eye-strainingly bright.
I'm telling you, that's what made us stop. That was
Good.
actually perfect because that's exactly what made us stop. We were like beelining just straight, and then it was like a you
Yeah.
hear the brakes like
A lot of
wait.
people ended up doing that, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, your table's purple," and like, "Oh, you have a duck on your table." Like I think a lot of little girls too, like who came up, if they didn't see the coloring book, they were seeing stickers and other things. And a lot of the items I picked were definitely catered towards of course, of course, like POC Black people, but also I think younger girls because they're walking around with their parents, and I think the fact that like these people were able to come up and see the coloring book on the side and look through it and like be like, oh mom, she looks like me, or like, oh, this reminds me of so and so. Like that to me is like my it like pulls at my heart because I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna cry at the table, but oh, that's so cute.
But I'm gonna cry at the table. Like, I'm not gonna cry, but I'm gonna cry. I
Right.
mean, I'm telling you again, I'm just like blown away. I'm excited to give the coloring books to my nieces for Christmas gifts.
Oh,
They're
that's
always
amazing.
coloring. That's all we do when I go visit. It's color, color, color. So
Oh,
I'm
that's great.
I'm excited. And there's a couple of them that actually do look like my nieces with the nice curly hairs on. And I was like,
Oh,
this
that's
is
nice.
amazing. So do you think you're gonna stick with children's in the genre area, or do you think you'll evolve, or have you not thought that far yet?
I have thought farther because I do a lot of like my side projects. So like right now I have two web comics now, but one of them is a bit more drama related. So I'm still kind of sticking within my field because I had an action story and I was just like, oh no, these dynamics are going a little crazy. Like I had the characters down and the art down, but I think until I get those like proper poses and I study more, will I be able to like fully kind of branch out into a new genre. But now recently I've kind of been into like slice of life drama and like romance content. So my newest webcomic called Baker and Knight is kind of like a nice easygoing comic that just follows like a black owned baker and it's a period piece so
Okay.
but then the night is he's I made him Filipino, and it's kind of just a nice simple just like oh how they met, and then just simple tellings of their daily lives. I love baked goods and stuff and all representing just like all of the good food that we be making. So
You are speaking to my soul because I love food. Food is my favorite thing in the whole world. Everybody's like, "But video games." I'm like, "But food." Food is my thing. It's like my favorite thing. So that I will back that. I will back that project. Anything about ooh, I love food. So anyways, I'm getting started.
Right.
But how did that story come about? Was it just something how do you come up with these stories?
I think if I'm gonna be honest, I have a playlist. I have a playlist for like a lot of my moods on my Spotify, and I'll go through each of those. And like depending on the month, I have like a playlist that I'll just listen to on repeat in specific songs. So like I think her name is Laufey. I was listening to her or Luffy, but I was listening to her music. Her most like recent ones like Valentine and Never Love Again, like those songs. And they're such like calming, like the orchestra in the background. Those are kind of what bring out the softer stories because I have like other stories that are a bit more sad. I have stories that are more action packed and like rushing. And you can tell like going back like what I was feeling or what music I was listening to based off of like what kind of story it is. So like right now I'm focusing on romance, and that's because my playlist has changed to a nice little like I'm happier right now. I'm very happy. So
That's
I'm like,
cute.
"Oh,
I
how
like that.
romantic."
I like that though. That's actually pretty cool. You're using a different type of art medium to fuel this art medium for you. I like that a lot. That's actually
Yeah.
pretty a lot of people use the traditional, like dreamt it. I had a
Mhm.
dream about it and then I wrote it type of thing. Do you like manga and anime?
Absolutely 110%.
I saw a little bit of influence in that in your artwork.
Okay.
Um, tell me your favorite. You got a top three favorite?
Oh my goodness.
You knew
That's
I was
like
gonna ask.
the scariest question, but I want to say my top 3. Yona of the Dawn, great story. They never came out with the season 2, but the manga is like awesome. Spy X Family that's been just came out with their season 2 is
Yep.
amazing, and, uh, man, I have, like, 2 more, but, like,
Let's do it.
uh
Let's go ahead, top 5 then. Go for it.
Love is Hard for an Otaku. Uh I love the intro. It's so
I
happy,
don't think
like, they
I've
do,
heard
like, the
that
little
one.
dance.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that one up. I don't think I've ever heard that one.
It's super good. It's like it follows, like, just, like, daily lives of all these, like, office workers, but they're also otaku, and they kind of, like they don't, like, hide their interest per se, but it's really funny watching them interact, and, like, if you purchase the manga, the spines are so pretty, like,
Oh,
and
really?
lined all
Okay.
up. It's like a pretty rainbow, and I think that kind of inspired some of my other artwork after a while.
That's dope. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm watching just the regular, My Hero. This
Mhm.
season is not a fan of it.
Oh,
Not a fan of the
no.
season. I'm not. I feel like it's a filler season. And
Have
then
you caught up to the manga or
well, I'm watching just I ca I'm watching just the anime right now. My
okay,
daughter reads the manga and she's like, "It's way
okay.
better." And I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll pick it up." And then my brother-in-law told me about my uncle from another universe or another dimension or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that. He told me to check that out. So that's actually on my to watch list.
Mhm.
How did you get into anime and mangas?
I blame my dad. We're very, like my entire family is, like, probably, like, media comic based. We always go see, like, almost every, like, Marvel or DC movie, but yeah, so my dad, he's definitely, like, a comic person. He loves Marvel, DC comics. He basically raised me with, like, video games and stuff, and it was, like, every like weekend kind of thing. It was like, all right, Dommy, it's time to sit down and play Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, yes. It's good
it,
parenting right there. It's
it is.
great
I was like, I'm
parenting.
happy. I've never been happier. That PS2 and PS3, that thing.
That's a that's amazing. You see that and you see the smile on her face, everybody. I'm telling you, video games are the greatest things.
Such a nice thing, honestly. Even like the smaller, simple ones. Like I think everybody over COVID was doing like Animal Crossing, and I was one of those people, and I was on that thing every day, night, weekend, and now I'm trying to like get my mom into it because my mom was like, "I need something to like de-stress," and I was like, "Let me introduce you to Animal
Animal Crossing,
Crossing."
yeah, and 100%. That or Harvest Moon, that
Oh
one
yeah,
too.
yeah. Have you done
Um,
Stardew Valley or?
no, I actually watched a friend of mine stream it, so because she had a very nice soothing voice, and then the music, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna watch you do this while I do like household stuff. I was like, this
Oh
is
yeah.
very nice and soothing. I like this. So, and I haven't gotten to
Absolutely.
play with it, but I actually have seen her do the stream, so I thought that was pretty cool. Um,
Cool.
so your dad does comic books. Your mom, is she what kind does she do any nerd stuff?
I mean, mom, not so much. She's definitely more, I guess, grounded in that aspect. Like she doesn't really know what's going on, but like she lets it happen. So she's just like, okay, like I'll be going off about some kind of anime or like K-drama, and she'll just be like, All right, all right, I know that one, Naruto."
That's cute. How did they like the cons? Did they get to walk around and stuff?
They did, and I know, like, they really enjoyed it. My dad, of course, he was going around buying, like, every single comic he could find. And my mom, like, I think it was nice, my mom enjoyed really, like, she met, I think, some of the people from BlurredCon because I plan on going there, next
Good.
year
I'll be
because I had
there.
never gone. Everybody mentioned it, at AwesomeCon, and they were like, "Are you gonna be at BlurredCon?" And I was like, "What's a BlurredCon?"
The greatest experience ever.
I
It'll
heard.
blow your mind. You're gonna like I'm so excited that you're gonna be there. I'm gonna be there too. So
I really, really hope I can get a nice, like, table there and, like, get to see everything because like, the way everybody's been talking about it, and I'm like, "Oh, I wanna be there too. I wanna see."
yeah. Yeah. Let me just say the first time I went to BlurredCon, ooh, 2017, I think it was.
Oh.
I think it was like their first or second year. So what if that was 2016 or 2017? Anyway, the first time I went there, I literally cried because it was
Oh,
a sea of Black and Hispanic and POC people in
oh my god, that's awesome.
cosplay. comic books, singers, everybody, and it was they looked like me, and it was just such an overwhelming, prideful moment that I
Oh,
ended up
yeah.
just crying, and people were like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm just so happy right now." Like, just so
I get it.
yeah.
It's the stuff it's like stuff that you think is little until you actually, like, experience it and you're like, "Oh, wow, this is, like, actually happening."
Mhm, and the fact that it was so many people too, like, it wasn't
Right.
just, like, 3 or 4 other people like you normally have at regular
Mhm.
conventions. This was, like, a sea of people that were just like me, that understood the struggles that I had, so I hope you have the greatest experience at Blur. I'm happy that you're gonna be at BlurCon. I'm gonna send
I'm
everyone
excited.
your way. So so prepare to hear, like, the High Heel Gamer send me over
Please
here.
do. I just love talking to people at the table. It's always so fun, like seeing their cosplays and then like them telling me about their experiences around the con. Because I feel like, and somebody else told me this while I was at Baltimore. But they were like, it's fun to see. They said it's fun to watch me interact with people because you can tell I'm not just doing it for the money. I
Mhm,
guess in their
mhm.
words, but and I was like, I've never really thought about it that way because I know that there are some people here who are definitely like, I'm here for one thing. Y'all got to come here. And if you're not going to buy anything, go
Yep,
away. And I was like, honestly, I came to AwesomeCon with the same mentality. I came to Baltimore and I was just like, okay, as long as I can just sell like one thing or like one of each item, I'm okay. And of course, I was like blown out of the park by like the response. But I don't
yeah.
know. I always just find the interactions just like so like uplifting and hearing everybody's different stories. It's just like super nice.
Well, you're very approachable, you're very friendly, you don't have that sell speech. I think that's really what draws people is that there are some people and with great like we understand, we get it, you put your heart soul into this and but they have like this sell speech. Like there's no
Oh,
hello, there's like, here's my book, this is why you should buy it.
oh.
Whereas you're just like, "Hey, how's it going? Are you having fun?" And it's like
Oh,
so
thank you.
like it's and I hope you don't take this as a condescending way, but it's so sweet and like innocent, and you just want to bottle it up and protect
No,
it. You know
no,
what I
that's
mean?
fine.
So, and I think that's another reason why, we stayed at your table even and I
Oh.
felt bad 'cause I was like, "Oh my god, we gots to go," but it was because you're so approachable and so, so sweet and then all your stuff is, like, phenomenal, and I told my friend, I was like,
Mhm.
If this is the future of art and comics and anime, I think we're in good hands." Um,
Aw.
yeah,
Thank
I've been
you.
doing this for 10 years, and, I worry sometimes because um, there's not a lot of youth out there that I've seen, putting themselves forward and stuff. So the fact that you had your table and then it was like, nicely done and you had so much artwork and stuff, I was like, we're in good hands. I'm happy. I'm okay. If nothing else, then I know she will carry it on. It'll be great.
I'm trying my best. I wanna, like, at least try and, like, um, be a good example, I guess, if that makes sense. Because
Mhm.
even, like, now, being a senior, I had, like, our school's, like, digital art club, and I also, like I do some now I'm doing, like, student teaching for some of the art teachers
Oh,
when I do,
nice.
like, my little, like, quick, like, art foundation lessons, and I'm like, I like seeing the joy people have when they can understand art because it's not just about, like, I feel finishing and, like, being like, "Oh, yeah, I finished it." I think it's definitely it's a mental, like, "Okay, I can understand it, I can work it out," and I always tell, like, the underclassmen and stuff, when I'm teaching, just, like, you learn the basics so that you can, completely misuse them later. So that you can take the basics, you know your fundamentals, and then change it to however you want to see it because that's what I like seeing the most, especially in like younger black artists, younger Hispanic artists, like people who I feel don't get the chance to I guess, go for that scholarship or go for the competition because they don't think they can. I didn't think I could. And when you tell them like, "Oh yeah, you can actually like it's okay if you draw for a living." Like when you tell a person of color that, it's usually like a mind-blowing experience because it's just like, "Oh, I never thought I could do that." And I hope that I'm doing something nice enough to where I can inspire some other little kid and be like, yes, you too can make a coloring book. Go out there, draw.
I think you are. I think you are for the simple fact that you are putting yourself out there. You're doing these conventions, you're going to school and, you're doing the artwork. You're doing the student teacher stuff and inspiring others, so even if it's one person, that's more than enough, and I personally think it's gonna be way more than one person. Will see your stuff and be like, "Wait a second, if she can do that, I can do that too," and, like,
I hope
so
so.
so grounded and down to earth, and I definitely think you are an inspiration to not just the younger generation, but to the older generation too, to remember why they started, the art process and what they loved about it through your artwork and your personality, you know what I mean? Your personality is so like I said, I just want to bottle it up and like so
Well, that
so
makes me
much fun.
happy. It makes me want to keep doing what I'm doing. I guess I'm
Yeah.
doing something right.
Yeah, you are, and it's so exciting. So do you have any other projects in the works? I like an exclusive around here, so
I think my biggest projects thus far have been working on a new larger coloring book featuring more guys because
Oh.
I will say my coloring book, although it was bought by boys and girls, but I don't draw as much men because it's a little bit of a for me, but I want to try and feature more men, more kind of like pages that are like the adult coloring books
Mm.
and where you can kind of just like take a time to de-stress. It doesn't have to be a person. I have a little mascot character. I don't know if you saw that one, but like the little bunny that like
Yeah,
I'm pure shirt.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So that was
Oh,
asked to include there. But between that and then I want to make hopefully like sooner or later I can make my own art book featuring just some other things that don't actually look like my art style per se. Because like as much as I love bright colors, the vibrantness that pops out, especially in like the eyes and stuff. I've recently gotten in more to just freehand pen drawings on with like watercolor.
oh.
So hopefully I can maybe make a soft tone. If I don't make a super bright one, I'll make a soft tone art book for people to read for like either online or just like, physical, probably physical because I like being able to like look at it physically.
Mhm.
But just something like that as a nice little peaceful, calm look through, not forced to read anything. I think that being able to look at pretty pictures on your own time is just so like relaxing.
I have, like, 3 adult coloring books, and I completely understand because it's like you de-stress and it's at your own pace, at your own time, and you know where it is. It's not like you have to turn on your computer and then look for the file or whatever. So I completely understand the having the physical aspect of it. Oh, I look forward to that. I'm definitely a huge, huge fan. Um I I just I don't know, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm
Thank
excited for
you.
everything, and I'm so grateful for you to come on the show. You've been like I said, you've been patient, you've been kind, and I appreciate you
Oh.
so, so much. Let me wrap this up, and then I'll be right back with you. So it has been a pleasure. All the links to Dominique's artwork and her website are down in the description below. Do yourself a huge favor and support this lovely young lady. You won't regret it. I've never steered you wrong before. Why would I start now? I'll see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye, everyone.